What up? What up? It's Tibbs. This is the second episode of Higher Learning. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate anyone that watches my videos and gives me feedback. I got a lot of messages yesterday, but my other one is kind of crazy. Actually, I wasn't expecting that kind of response, but yeah. Today, I was on the fence about talking about Christianity or the Vatican and how corrupt it is, or talking about gangs and how they got created and why they exist in the first place. Today, I think I'm going to talk about gangs. It's really on my mind today now that I thought about it. And tomorrow, maybe I'll talk about the Vatican and all that shit. Just let me have a drink, like usual. I'll get started, alright? I'm not supporting Brisk, by the way. I'm just thirsty. Don't be a consumer. Alright. Where should I start? Bloods and Crips is what I want to talk about for why the first black gang even got created in the first place and why they exist now. I also want to talk about another gang that originated in LA, and that's MS-13 and why they exist. I guess I'll start off with Bloods and Crips. You gotta understand the Bloods and Crips. They aren't the original idea of why they exist. They exist because of the previous generation before them. They're like the baby of the real problem, and they just got everything distorted. Before the Bloods and Crips, the next generation before that, so we're talking like 1940s, 1950s. I'm sure like some point you learned this in history class about black history and all that shit. And in LA, when there was like a week or two of just like black people fighting back for what they believe in, doing the right thing and freaking the fuck out and fighting the white man, all that shit. You gotta understand that the government like talks about like a war on crime or war on gangs, but really the government's responsible for any creation of gangs. I can truly say that like the government, it's the government's fault for being back in the day being racist and having slavery. Like they had to know at some point that these people are gonna fight back and create their own groups. You know, if you fucking push someone to a corner long enough, they're gonna fight back. They have nothing to lose eventually, right? So, anyways, so this point in history. Sorry, my phone's bugging out. Black people, week or two, fighting for what they believe in. It's like the regime of like Black Panthers and all that shit. It was a great point in history, like that the world had to change, and it did because of what they did. And that's good. Um, but the way the media exposed it and the way the media released it, and they kind of distorted it a little bit for the next generations to come. Um, because like certain people weren't on board that were involved in the media, what was going on, so they would kind of twist facts or kind of like mirror image things. Um, anyway, so you have like that generation, which is great. That's great point in history. Then there's the generation after, where like those people's children, they felt like they had to act angry too, but the only source of information that they had was the media to learn about the things that happened. Like if everything was taught to people by word of mouth, I think a lot of things would be differently instead of going through the media. If you watch the news today, they talk about like Jersey Shore and shit. They don't talk about how many people are dying in Libya, even though Barack Obama is murdering thousands and thousands of people. Um, so that's a big point to bring across. These kids, it's not their fault. Well, no. It's just that kind of like the culture they grew up in was to be angry at the white man still, but they were just being angry for the sake of being angry because they're raised to be angry. You know, generation before, they weren't angry originally. They were just, like I said before, they got backed into a corner at some point. Like they had to do what was right. You know, so like the creation of Bloods and Crips was the second generation. And like they're just all about violence and bullshit. Like they think they have a cause, but they don't. Please don't kill me, Bloods and Crips, but it's true. And it's because of them that the kids, all the generations after that generation, they're almost pretty much set for disaster because you're always a product of your environment, right? I mean, it's very rare that a person from a place like that can become successful. It becomes very difficult. So that's all I have to say about them. I also want to talk about MS-13. They originated in LA. I think it was like the 1950s. The reason why the El Salvadorians were even in LA in the first place is because they were fleeing civil war in El Salvador. And just like I said before, like the government, you know, like how they raised their people at that point in time, like everyone was racist and stuff, and like these El Salvadorians had to group together and like they defend for themselves, and like they didn't actually want to do criminal acts at first, you know what I mean? But they had to, like they had to survive, just like we all have to survive. I mean, if the fucking government came today and said I can't live here, I can't do that, I can't eat here, you know, you kind of bug the fuck out, and you have to go steal some food to fucking eat and to feed your family, you know. And just like I explained before, like MS-13 now, like well, no, MS-13 is kind of more extreme because their government's a little more fucked up than ours is. Like they can't even like leave the country. Like immigration's fucked there. Like they can't even leave their own country. Like there's, I know a girl. I'm not gonna say her name, but she knows who she is. Um, Her family lives in El Salvador, and she said she has family members that want to get out so bad, and they would go to the immigration centers or whatever, and they would tell them like, hey, like these people are gonna kill me. They're like trying to tax us money that we don't even have. They're gonna say they're gonna chop my hands off if I don't pay them. They're gonna kill my family. We need to get out of the country. And El Salvador, like it's just because the crime rate's so bad, they need to control the population and their society that they don't even let people out. You know, like if you're in Colombia and you tell them that you're you're gonna get murdered and stuff, like they'll actually let you leave. In El Salvador, they won't let you do that. So when MS-13 got brought back into El Salvador, when like you know like when they got caught in LA, they got sent back to their own country. Um, you just got angry people stuck in the country. Like what do you expect to do? It's like a prison, you know. Um, put a bunch of psychos in one place. There's still gonna be psychos. It's gonna be more psycho-y because you know like it's like it doesn't make any sense. It does make sense, but it shouldn't make sense. You know. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for listening. Tomorrow, I guess I'll talk about, like I said before, the Vatican and all that. Um, yeah, this is Tips, Higher Learning. Subscribe or whatever, respond to me, do whatever the fuck you want. I just want you to listen and wake the fuck up and realize your history of the world and what's going on. And I'm gonna help anyone through that wants to. Like you can message me for links or whatever you want. If I can give it to you, I'll give it to you. All right, take care.